A new offensive coordinator named last night, and Eliot Shorr-Parks tweeted the following. I can't believe the Eagles hired a 33-year-old with 2 years of coaching experience and 0 experience calling plays to take over this job in this moment in this city. For more on why he wrote that, what he thinks, we turn to Eliot himself. Good morning, Eliot.
Man, it's never a good thing when it starts with reading one of my tweets. I feel like that never goes well. Excited to talk about it.
So you sound skeptical. If so, why? Tell us. I mean, it's unconventional. He's young, all that. But what are your thoughts on this hire?
Yeah, so I think you almost have to respect the absurdity of it to an extent. Like, they obviously went into this process, I would guess, not thinking they were going to hire Sean Mannion. And I think that there's a level that you can respect of going through it and just truly hiring the guy that you thought was the best candidate. Now, obviously, that's amongst the candidates willing to take the job, right? Like, I do think Mike McDaniel, Brian Dable were two names that if they were willing to come here would be here. But once those guys left, I can respect looking for somebody and just finding a guy you like. But let's all take a step back here. He is 33 years old with 2 years of coaching experience, not 2 years of quarterback coaching experience, not 2 years of NFL coaching experience, 2 years total of coaching experience. And we know, because we've talked about it for the past month, about the pressure of this job, right? So I think you can absolutely like Sean Mannion, the candidate, but I think putting him into this spot, it's a big-time risk, and I just don't know if risk is the top quality I would want in a hire at this point with what they're coming off.
Well, I'll say this, Eliot. They've taken a lot of risks through the years.
But that's a great point.
It's worked out a lot.
But think about the risk that you're taking with this. You've got a kid from Oregon State. I can tell you from experience, the quarterback at Oregon State is not getting nearly as much focus as the quarterback at Georgia.
Yep.
Or, anywhere.
Or the Philadelphia Eagles.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He advances to the NFL. He doesn't play. He backs up. It has been a relatively, low-stress football existence for Sean Mannion. It's the opposite in Philadelphia.
Well,
it's about to get real for Sean Mannion. Eliot, I am – when we entered this whole search, I wrote notes to myself. This cannot happen if the guy didn't call plays before. How big a deal is that? Should I get past this at this point?
So,
how much does that matter?
So, look, I know me and you have been on opposite ends of the spectrum on this to an extent. Like, I think last year the offense struggled for a lot of reasons. I don't think inexperience by Patullo was a main one, but it was part of it, right?
Sure.
You look at their first and second half adjustments, like, they were worse in the second half. Again, I think if they get better offensive line play, Jalen plays better, they run the ball, like, they'll be a better offense next year, even if, me and you were the coordinator, right? So I think those things will help. I think the tough part in terms of him never calling the plays is, will he get an opportunity to grow into the job, right? Like, we can all sit here and say we like his potential. Is anyone going to give him a chance to reach that potential? Like, if they're struggling 3 weeks into the season,
oh no, the people will be losing their minds.
Right. So that's my point. Like, I do think that there's a lot to like about him as a candidate. I like that his background is in quarterback. You look at interviews he's done, and he stresses footwork, he stresses timing, he stresses precision.
Love that.
And so, like, I think he could be good for Jalen if Jalen listens to him, right? This is like, he is going to step in front of an offensive room that is filled with hundreds of millions of dollars of talent, Pro Bowl talent, all-pro talent, and he's going to have to earn the respect of that room. And he could do it, right? Like, he could, but I think if you brought in a candidate that already had a resume to put on the table, you can expect more immediate results.
All right, so
no
Eliot,
question.
Eliot, here's where it's not that I disagree with you per se. Just here's where my mind goes when I hear you talk. And this has been my point today. It's a test for fans, because none of us know what's going to happen, but it's a test for fans of, do you trust Jeffrey and Howie and Nick to an extent? And I do. Like, listen, you're talking about a risk. It is. They're bringing him into a cauldron. All right? Philadelphia, New York, Boston, 3 most intense professional towns in America, and this one's probably number 1. It's a cauldron of intensity and focus. But I know this. The Eagles have taken a lot of risks, and a lot of them have worked. Gruden was young, OC. Andy was young, never heard of him. Sirianni, I never heard of him. Doug, I didn't want him. I think Lurie and Howie in particular have earned the benefit of the doubt for me to say, you know what? My instincts, it'll probably work out because it typically does with these guys.
Hold on.
What's your reaction, Eliot?
There's a different set of there's a different set of requirements that you're looking for the head coach as the Eagles look at it, and the offensive coordinator as the Eagles look at it. I mean, this offensive coordinator, we want this guy to be the best coach out there, the best coach in the world. The head coach part, they try to take a little off of it. They try,
but they're trying to get the right guy
to find the right guy.
But the heart of it is trying to make the right hire. Yeah. That's the heart of it.
But Joe, what I would say to your point is you're right. But those guys came in with no expectation to an extent. Like they were not. I shouldn't say no expectation. They were like if Sirianni, Doug, Andy in their first year won 9 games and made the playoffs, that was a successsul year.
Yeah, the team wasn't ready to win.
Right. So I think if Sean Mannion was coming into a situation with a new staff and like a new, like a rebuild, then you'd be like, okay, like this is an exciting hire. They're getting someone early. You bring him in, you get him in the building. My concern is to kind of what we're talking about is the expectation next year is to win the Super Bowl. That is what people expect from this team. And at the very least,
hold on. They shouldn't expect it. They should expect that the team can compete for it. They should not expect that they're going to win the Super Bowl. They should be amongst the better teams.
The Eagles will be expected to compete for a Super Bowl then, right? So, and not only just that, there will be a large emphasis on the offense within itself, right? Like that, like he's going to be expected to come in, and the offense is supposed to be better. But what I would say to people is this, like, I don't think it's fair to expect Sean Mannion to make a big impact next year. It's his first year on the job, first year with the players, first year in the city. Next year is about Nick. Like, that's my biggest takeaway from this hire. They obviously have more faith in Nick than maybe the public thought that they did. He is now going to obviously control the offensive side of the ball. A 33-year-old is not going to come in with Nick and Jalen and, like, run his own scheme and override Nick. Like, Nick is now, and he has been very involved, but obviously the offense will live and die next year with what Nick and Jalen can do.
You think everybody's going to be okay with no impact on the offense?
No, I don't think people are going to be okay with
that.
But I don't think it's true, Elliot. And I disagree with your assessment.
Yeah, but Elliot, a 33-year-old that's never done the job, how can we realistically expect him to come in and make a massive change?
Well, he's going to call plays.
Yeah, I mean,
that in and of itself is a big hand in the offense.
And Elliot, I think you're misidentifying what it's really about. It's really about Jalen.
Of course it is.
It's about they are stretching the bounds of what they've done. They are bringing in someone with McVay and Shanahan principles, and they're going to hand it to Jalen, and they're going to say, "We're going to find out if you can do it, and if you can't."
Does this guy really know? I mean.
Yeah,
is this guy the best example of McVay and Shanahan principles?
Right.
Well, I don't know. But go ahead, Elliot.
You think he's going to come in and completely change the playbook and what they do on offense?
He's going to stretch it.
I don't think so.
No, Elliot. Hold on, Elliot. Let me rephrase this. Well, he is going to stretch it. He's going to try to stretch it as far as he can, and how far he ultimately takes it, implemented in games, will be based on whether Jalen can effectively do it or not.
100%.
That's the story of the season up ahead. See, that is the story.
I agree, but that was the story last year.
No, it wasn't.
But no, I disagree.
Because they talked and did the same old nonsense. They just weren't as good at running the football.
It was every year. We got a new offensive coordinator.
This is what I think is being missed here. They want to do the things everybody is talking about. Like, it's not like Sean Mannion's going to come in and be like, "Hey, I got an idea. Crossing routes. Let's try it," right? And Nick's going to take his hat off and be like, "Oh, my God, are you serious?" Like, they know all the ideas Sean Mannion knows. The issue is they've not been able to implement it because of the players, right?
Implemented them.
They have tried to apply them. There's no way that they want to run hitch routes 80% of the time. Like, let's just be honest, right?
I agree.
Right, so we can talk about this idea of Sean Mannion bringing all these principles and things. Ultimately, where I think Sean Mannion will help is he clearly has a good background in, like, quarterback play, and maybe he can help Jalen in those things. And I think the offense will look different just because naturally there's like an involvement to it. But I think if you're expecting Sean Mannion to come in and save this offense, that's not realistic. It will be Nick and Jalen. That is who will dictate how good the offense is. And you hope that in his first year, Sean Mannion can add help here and there, but you cannot ask him to overhaul an offense at its first year at the job.
Eliot, do we know what's going to happen with Scot Loeffler, the current QB coach, with Mannion being the QB coach of the Packers? Does he just move into the OC spot, or does he move into the QB coach spot while taking over the OC role?
So
do we have any idea?
Well, I think an interesting question here is the staff, right? Because had they hired Brian Dable or someone that had coached in the NFL for more than 2 years, like that coach would have a Rolodex of coaches that he has worked with, guys that, he has connections to. Now, Mannion has been in the NFL, so he's been around coaches, but he has only coached for 2 years in one place. So I think in terms of a staff, I don't think you'll see him overhaul the staff and bring in like 9 of his own guys. I would imagine Stoutland will probably be back. I would think Jamal Singleton, the running back coach, has a chance to be back. Scot Loeffler, I would think there could be some, chance of continuity by keeping him.
Does it help him that Jalen spoke well of him, or does it hurt him that Jalen spoke well of him at the end of the year?
I think it helps. And I also just think I think they view him as a good coach, right?
Yes.
I don't think they have like a true issue with their coaches. Like, so I think it's mostly this guy, like Mannion will come in, he'll have some say, but no, I don't expect like an overhaul of the assistant coaching staff.
Eliot, even though I disagree with about 30% of what you said, good report.
I'll take 30% disagreement. That feels good for me, so I'm good with that.